to be the most romantic thing you've ever said, Kieran. Take another swig there. Kieran's a man of few words, you know. We know what he means beneath the surface. I'd like to begin by offering a toast to both sets of parents. It's great that both sets of parents can be here on such an occasion, so I'd like to pose a toast to Bridie and Austin, and Jimmy and Olive Fegan. I was told I should keep my speech short by my mother, and I do everything that she says. And if she said it once, she said it 100 times. Make sure you keep your speech very short. And eventually I said to her, well, how short did you have in mind? I mean, can you give me a guideline? And she said, well, you know, it's very simple, son. It should be like a mini skirt, a woman's mini skirt. And I said, I'm a bit lost, you'll have to explain that to me. And she said, well, it should be short enough to be interesting, but long enough to cover all the important bits. The Kieran thing, see the way he slipped that in there? He knew that I was going to mention it. It's a bit of an open secret in the Clerkin family and beyond about poor wee Kieran. We don't know where this all started, but I have a few theories, and I might touch on those in a minute. But PWK, as he's affectionately known in the Clerkin household, every so often you might hear my mother say something like, poor wee Kieran, he's over there in New York and it's Christmas Day and all he has is a cheese sandwich. Like he didn't know that Christmas was going to come or something. And of course there's no restaurants in Manhattan. Anyway, I'd like to begin by talking a little about Lorna, our lovely bride today. Doesn't she look lovely?
Yeah.
Now bear in mind, I had to wait a long time before I actually met Lorna. I thought she was a figment of Kieran's imagination. Eventually brought her home. I was expecting to see a cardboard cutout. I thought, this woman really doesn't exist. Anyway, she did exist. And she came to Monaghan on New Year's Eve about 2 years ago. 2 years ago. And she was a brave woman, I must say. Kieran gave his thoughts about entering the Fegan household. It'd be interesting to get Lorna's thoughts about entering the Clerkin household. But I remember she had this fantastic pair of stiletto boots, and that's all I kept noticing. And I wasn't sure if this was the height of fashion in New York, or whether they were actually armed weapons. You know, they're like something you'd see out of in a James Bond movie, like 6-inch sharp heels, and I was expecting wee knives to come out of the front of them. And I thought, now that's a very interesting pair of boots. Maybe Kieran has wondered about the formidable Clerkin sisters. All 6 of them. But Lorna, of course, was cool as a breeze. And I think she was overheard at one point telling Kieran, is that all you got? 6 sisters, you got to do better than that to intimidate me. So she endeared herself from the first moment, it must be said, and I think I can speak on behalf of all the Clerkin sisters and everyone else.
Yeah.
To say that she made a very good impression. She was unanimously accepted into the family, even at that stage before weddings were talked about. So these Bridie and Austin, what Lorna didn't know was Bridie and Austin got a new pair of, or new wooden floors installed. And anyone who came to the house had to see these new wooden floors. So Kieran didn't quite tip her off about that. And so there she was dancing around the floor in these stiletto heels. She made her mark on the Clerkin family and made an even more indelible mark on the wooden floors. So she wasn't forgotten for a long time. But I think Kieran and Lorna are very well suited. They enjoy a very similar sense of humour. They enjoy a bit of a laugh, and they always can be seen having a laugh. They're both very generous people. And very good with other people, very good at sharing their time. Kieran for a long time to come, and hopefully Kieran will look after her. I can't mess around with that. So moving back to Kieran, I don't know where this poor wee Kieran thing is all about, because he's not exactly poor. I mean, every time I call him, he's either buying a bar, or he's building a big house, or he's throwing a big wedding for 200 people. Well, this is the first of the weddings, mind you. Way back when Kieran was about 10 or 11, Dad, Austin here, had a great idea. All the good ideas in the Clerkin household come from Austin. He he thought maybe we could make a wee bit of money out of Kieran. And he saw that there was some good prizes going out in fancy dress competitions in the local sports. So he had this idea. It was around the time that Fiat came out with the new Fiat Panda. It was like the smartest car on the road, and it was very energy efficient. So he had this horse and car. We had this car that he painted up and put lots of panda stickers on it, and then he got a real big panda, massive thing, and stuck it in the panda. And Kieran had to wheel this thing around at the local sports. And, he went to Ardati Sports, and of course he got first prize. And then he went to 3 Mile House Sports and another first prize. And so nobody was going to these sports to do the Bonnie Baby competition or the Happy Hanging or the tug of war. They were all coming to see Kieran because he was getting his photo in the Northern Standard every week. And so he went on to Glaslough Fades and Carrickrow Sports. And you get the picture. So things were looking very promising for Kieran. Steven Spielberg apparently was sniffing around looking for movie rights, but he decided to do E.T. instead. He thought there might be more money in that. So what Kieran probably needed back then was a manager, you know, somebody to tell the story a bit better. But we didn't think about that, so it all kind of fizzled out. Some kid came around in a Star Wars outfit, and that was the end of Kieran. It was a brief but brilliant summer, and I think Bridie just thought, well, poor wee Kieran, you know, he had it all there ready for him, and then he had to go back and act like a normal boy at school and try and fit in, and you know, it was tough. She saw the potential, but it was snuffed out at an early age. Hopefully now Lorna might encourage him to dress up a bit, and you never know where it could go from here. So I also had the pleasure of hanging out with him in the bars in the evenings, and I got to listen to the old chat-up lines, the master at work. So in the end it didn't surprise me that he landed a nice woman like Lorna, because he was a bit of a smooth talker here. Though he liked to play the old pity card, you know, pity me, I'm poor wee Kieran. So I remember one night I was out with him in New York, and he was chatting up this woman, and chatting to some woman, shall we say, in a very hopeful way. And he was telling her how he had a terrible day at work, and all he needed was a shoulder to cry on and a nice drink and all that stuff. And she said, well, what do you work at? And he said, well, I'm a dentist. And she said, well, what's so hard about that? And he said, oh, it's not just any old dentist. I'm a dentist up in the Bronx Zoo. And she said, well, that sounds very interesting. She said, well, it is interesting, but you know, sometimes it can be a real pain. Like today, the giraffe had a toothache. So she said, and how did you handle that? He said, oh, it was very hard. He said, I had this 12-foot step ladder, and I had to climb up to the giraffe's mouth. And of course, as soon as I got up there, he wasn't having any of it. He'd walk away. So I had to get down the step ladder and walk around. All day I spent doing this, and I still didn't get the injection into him. So I won't tell you whether he was successful or unsuccessful with that particular story. But in the end he met Lorna, and I'm not sure whether he used that name. Did he, Lorna? No. Something similar. There you go. If it keeps working, why change it? Kieran, it'll get done. He's also very courageous and very loyal and very compassionate, very good at helping people and being there, and if someone's stuck, they know they can come to Kieran and he'll sort them out. That's the sort of guy he's always been. I'd like to give Kieran my blessing in his marriage, and I hope everything goes well. And may you never ever be poor, and may you never ever be weak, but may you always be Kieran.